You know Adelaide better than most people in South Australia. One-term Liberal government. It looks like it's on the verge of being kicked out. It's unusual, particularly given some of the economic story is a very good story to tell, like the Lot 14 precinct they've got. They've got big-name companies, Amazon, KPMG and others heading to Adelaide, but yet it looks like they're about to be booted.
It does. We don't know what the voters are going to decide. There's a lot of people voting before election day because of COVID and other things. There are a lot of variables at play. We've got a rare situation really where both sides actually need to pick up seats in order to form a majority from where they are at the moment. So the crossbench could play an interesting role depending on what the outcome is, depending on how decisive it is. But as to your question as to whether it's a rare thing, it's rare nationally, perhaps not so rare in South Australian terms. And I think back to the Long Dunstan period in the 70s. It was broken by a single term led by David Tonkin was the Liberal Premier from, I think, 79, 82. Then Bannon led for a whole long period. The same thing happened before the Rann sort of decade. So, you know, which then went into the Weatherall period. So both of those are Labor premiers. So it really is a Labor voting state by and large. And Malinauskas, Peter Malinauskas, the hopeful Labor leader, has been very disciplined from what I've understood in his campaigning, really hammering that health message. So,
it has been. And certainly last night in the People's Forum that I hosted at the Sky News Advertiser People's Forum, he was very disciplined in that message and has been throughout the campaign, all about ramping, the ambulance crisis and ramping and health resources. He's been relentless on it.
Yeah, that's right. This is one of the sort of troubles in a way with politics these days is that our leaders know so much about what our attitudes are through all the polling, all the different ways in which attitudes can be measured and tracked and so forth, that they can very sort of surgically tailor messages. Labor's obviously got the information that voters really care about this ramping question, really care about health. It's a state that has quite an ageing population. Health has always been an issue. It does have that kind of social democratic feel about it. You'll see that Marshall, the Premier, is even under siege from people on the right of his party for being seen as too much of a social democrat or a social progressive on some questions. That is the sort of milieu of South Australia, I'm happy to say, having come from there. And it has led to to a different kind of. It's the central state, and it sort of has central politics, and that makes it quite difficult, I think, for the Liberal Party to put together sustained periods in government.
Well, Malinauskas is certainly he's 41 years of age. Absolutely, fit as you put it, but also one of the better political communicators, in that sort of setting that I've seen over several years.
Yeah, so that's an interesting observation.
He was very convincing last night.
Yeah, well, I didn't see the debate last night, unfortunately, because I had to be elsewhere. But I've gathered from some of the coverage and from your comments that it was a very decisive kind of
front page of the Advertiser had KO to Malley or words to that effect. But